I was filming with my crew out in one of the Shia villages in Bahrain, having been at the Formula One race. We left a little early just to see what was going on the other side of town, and we found that the entire place was in total lockdown. All these Shia villages, Shia are the majority of the population of Bahrain, but they are very much downtrodden, and they are the ones who've been protesting and rising up, demanding a more democratic voice. And they were hoping that the Grand Prix would allow them to get a lot of media attention. But of course, what the Bahraini government has done, this rather repressive Sunni Muslim regime, has ensured that the police presence was very heavy in these villages. It was under complete lockdown. They wouldn't let any protesters out, wouldn't let them into the city at all. And when we ventured in trying to film in these areas, we found ourselves playing a game of cat and mouse with the police. Eventually, we were in a particular village where we were filming a small demonstration of mostly kids, when we realized that we were being monitored by a police helicopter. They had set fire to some barricades, and there was some tear gas being shot off by the police. But we looked in our rear-view mirror and suddenly realized that a large number of riot police were literally charging us from behind. So we set off at high speed across some rough ground, but the helicopter was following us. The helicopter stayed across us for about 2 or 3 miles, I would say, until we eventually managed to get onto a main road. There was a police car behind us, and eventually we ran into a checkpoint. Our driver, who's got some experience of doing this sort of thing, and in my understanding, took a very abrupt U-turn and headed for what turned out to be a shopping centre, where we were stopped by the police, held for about an hour inside our vehicle by scores of riot police, many of them wearing balaclavas, being quite rough, being quite abusive. My driver was injured, not severely.
When you say rough, Jonathan, how rough? What were they doing?
They were very physically abusive, but particularly verbally abusive to the Bahraini driver and to the British Bahraini activist I was with. She's quite a distinguished and well-known activist and columnist whose name is Dr. Allah Shabahi, and she was verbally abused, as was the driver. The driver later, when I saw him, had quite sharp cut marks down his arm. I wasn't allowed to talk to him. I have received repeated assurances that he would be released in due course, fairly soon I was told, once they have questioned him. But I am concerned for his life, because one of the reasons that I went to Bahrain in the first place was because we know that the human rights record of this government is not good. Many people who demonstrated last year have been given life sentences or 15 years in jail, and there are many accounts which have been corroborated by countless human rights groups of torture in detention in Bahrain. So I'm not happy at all being deported to leave the 2 Bahraini colleagues of mine or friends of mine behind in police detention tonight.
And who gave you the assurances about their safety?
I beg your pardon, could you say that again?
Jonathan, who gave you the assurances about their safety?
I have been interrogated tonight by various officers of the Bahraini police, mostly plain clothes, and they were the ones who gave me the assurances.
And they were interrogating you as to why you were there without accreditation?
Channel 4 News, among other media organisations, have repeatedly requested formal accreditation to work as journalists in Bahrain. We have entered certain applications many times in the past to no avail whatsoever. So we've decided that because we understood that journalists over the past week or so have been turned away at Bahrain borders, at the airport, others refused visas, that we would come in under the radar on tourist visas. I had bought a Formula One ticket, and I came in as a tourist. We were operating without accreditation, as I say, so we knew what would be coming our way if we were indeed caught, but that was the way that we have been forced to operate.
And Jonathan, I know that you're about to get on a plane, but there will be many many people who have been asking questions over recent weeks about just how this administration treats human rights activists, and you've seen it now at first hand. When you talk about Dr. Al-Shiabi, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, and you said they were aggressive towards her, can you elaborate as to what they did towards the human rights activists?
Well, look, I mean, this is a woman whose husband, she's got a 1.5-year-old child at home, and her husband was sent to jail last year after the disturbances in Bahrain. He was sentenced to 10 months in prison and did that time, even though he was not allegedly involved particularly himself. It was her. Dr. Al-Shiabi has herself demonstrated personally with Bernie Ecclestone, the ringmaster of Formula One, in London on the 6th of March this year. And she gave me a very detailed account of that meeting today, which absolutely shocked me to my core. And I've been asked by her, because the meeting was private, not to actually relay the contents of what was said, but it did indeed completely shock me what was said to her. The Formula One meeting went ahead. It was felt by all of these activists that it was appropriate that they should demonstrate. That is what they did. And I have seen tear gas fired. I have seen people detained. A man was killed in as yet unexplained circumstances on, I think it was Friday night. And today I witnessed firsthand the abusive behaviour of both riot police and formal police towards Dr. Al-Shiabi and my driver. They slammed the car door on her arm right next to me, very, very hard. They were shouting extremely rude words at her in Arabic. She was trying to protect our driver, who I felt absolutely terrible about, because I had asked him to take us to this area. He was willing to do so, but I've ended up landing him in a lot of trouble.
And Jonathan, finally, so that I can try to achieve some balance with this, how much attack do the police and the security forces come under? What have you seen?
The police and the security forces, as advised by two foreign advisors, one of John Yates, the former commissioner or deputy commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, and John Timoney, a former U.S. policeman, they have been in Bahrain over the last year or so, last few months, advising the police on how to reform and how to get their act together after a lot of allegations were made about police brutality in the uprising last February and March. Now, what I have seen suggests that the police are using weapons which are causing injuries to those who are protesting. The protesters are absolutely unarmed, and I repeat that. They are not armed at all. It is not like Libya. It is not like Syria. These are unarmed civilians protesting for democratic rights. I filmed in their marches yesterday.
So the reports of protesters having petrol bombs and throwing them. I spoke to a government spokesman last night.
Okay, well, look, that's fair, because yes, they are arming themselves with things like petrol bombs. They've got little Molotov cocktails. I saw them tonight. They're setting fire to rubber tires and causing lots of smoke. But it's small fry compared to what they're up against. These people are being sort of hit by tear gas canisters on a regular basis. The police of Bahrain are actually using tear gas as a weapon. I've never seen anything like it. I looked down on a rooftop today from the top of a car park, and it's littered with the canisters of tear gas, which are fired up onto the roofs of houses and into windows. They are actually killing people with tear gas canisters, believe it or not. And it's the stench of this revolution. It is the smell of this little revolt, because the streets just reek of tear gas. It is absolutely grim being in these demonstrations, because the tear gas is absolutely unbearable.
And Jonathan, your reaction.
They also get hit by birdshot, and this is shotgun pellets, which because they can't go to hospital, although they don't do the normal things, they're not particularly lethal weapons. This shot goes into their limbs, like their legs or their backs, but it becomes infected, and they cannot go to hospital. So they're really up against it, these democracy protesters, because they're up against quite a brutal form of repression by the police, and they have no ability to get treatment if they are are injured.
And so, Jonathan, your reaction will be key for me. To this. I interviewed the Bahraini government representative just last night, who assured me that he was using tear gas as a last resort in isolated instances.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was in demonstrations. When was it? I was in one on Friday, in which I was choking and vomiting from the amount of tear gas that was being used. I mean, they came from both sides and hemmed in large numbers of people who were forced to flee down a narrow roadway, which was then tear gassed. I mean, huge volleys of tear gas. The air was thick with it. This is not last resort. This is being used as a weapon of intimidation, I would say, by this regime to stop any form of demonstration, particularly at this time when the eyes of the world have been on Bahrain, which is trying to show that everything's normal. They can host the Formula One Grand Prix, everything's fine, but at great expense, because it's not fine, and the people of Bahrain, the majority population, the Shia population of Bahrain, are extremely unhappy that their government has hosted this big, glitzy showbiz sporting event, but has overlooked in the process the plight of their own people.
Where are you now, Jonathan? What's happening to you now?
Well, I'll be absolutely honest with you. I've been looking out the window at the airport, to which we were driven at breakneck speed in a police van about 3 quarters of an hour ago, and I'm watching the British Airways plane on which we were meant to be being towed back. Apparently, we did not have the appropriate documentation, I'm being told now, the intention was to deport us on this flight, but we have not made it onto this flight, so I don't know what's going to happen. We're in Bahrain for the night.
I want to leave your final words, as I know you will want to, Jonathan, for your concern for your driver.
I'm extremely concerned for the fate of my driver. He was simply doing his best by us professionally to take us to where we had asked him to go. He knew the risks that he was taking. He understood that. But, it's fine for us as foreigners coming in. Actually, probably the worst that could happen to us is what's happening to us now, being deported. What happened to us this evening was not really a problem at all. What is a problem, of course, is when Bahrainis get caught, they're up against what is widely documented as being quite a repressive police system, and many have come to grief in that system.
Jonathan, I hope you stay safe, and I'm really appreciative if you take the time to talk to us, given the situation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.